Good morning. Today we'll be traveling from Gallup, New Mexico to Winslow, Arizona. So let's get started. We make our way down Route 66 from Gallup, New Mexico to Holbrook, Arizona. Here we find one of the last three remaining Wigwam Village Motor Courts, Wigwam Village number 6. Built by Chester Lewis in 1950, these concrete teepees still provide Route 66 travelers with a chance to sleep in a wigwam. The original Wigwam Village in Cave City, Kentucky was designed and patented by Frank Redford in 1936. He sold royalty agreements so others could build these villages across the country, with the condition that the owners install a coin-operated radio in each teepee, and send half of the proceeds from these radios to Mr. Redford. Chester Lewis successfully ran the motel until the late 1970s when Interstate 40 bypassed downtown Holbrook. He sold the business and it stayed open only as a gas station. A couple years after Mr. Lewis passed away, his children bought back Wigwam Village number 6 and reopened it as a motel in 1987. Further west on Route 66 in Holbrook, we come to the Globetrotter Lodge. This motor lodge started life as a Whiting Brothers motor hotel. Sometime in the late 1950s or early 1960s it was sold and the new owners named it the Sun and Sand Motel. It stayed in business until 2001 when it was closed. It remained closed until 2010 when it was purchased and the new owners started restoration. When I visited in 2015 they had restored much of the exterior, the swimming pool and a few of the rooms, which were quite beautiful. Unfortunately, it now appears to be closed again. Getting back on the highway, we head west to Winslow, Arizona. As we discussed in previous episodes, the Santa Fe Railroad has parallels to Route 66 and actually ran parallel to the Mother Road in numerous places. One of those places is Winslow, Arizona, where we find the former Harvey House Hotel, La Posada. Like all of Fred Harvey's hotels, most of them built along the Santa Fe Railroad, La Posada was built for luxury. It was designed by Mary Coulter and opened in 1930. Mary Elizabeth Jane Coulter liked to create a fantasy story behind the design of each of her buildings. For La Posada, the story was of a 120-year-old family estate owned by the wealthy descendants of Spanish-Mexican ranchers who lost everything in the 1929 stock market crash and had to sell their beautiful mansion to the Santa Fe Railroad. The fantasy family had traveled the world for generations, collecting art and antiques that filled the rooms of the family estate. Each generation added rooms to the home, art and antiques to the rooms, and expanded the gardens until all of its 72,000 square feet were filled with wonders from around the world. That was the fantasy Mary Coulter created behind La Posada. And even though it opened at the beginning of the Great Depression, it was successful and continued operation until 1957, when it closed as a hotel. The Santa Fe Railroad took over and turned it into offices and storage space. By 1994, they were ready to move out and the building was set to be demolished. Alan Affeld found out about this and decided to help try to save it with local preservationists. Eventually, he purchased the hotel in 1997, and with a group including his wife, the artist Tina Moeen, and sculptor Daniel Lutzik, they restored La Posada to the beauty it is today. La Posada is still a stop on the Amtrak railway line, so you can still have the Harvey House experience traveling the rails. You'll be greeted at the railway entrance to the building with these words. If you're ever in Winslow, Arizona, whether by car or by train, and you need a place to stay, I highly recommend La Posada. It's stunningly beautiful and the food in the restaurant is excellent. It's a wonderful experience. Well, that's it for this episode. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed that, a thumbs up is always appreciated. If you have any questions about any of the stuff that we covered in this episode, please leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode of Gems and Hidden Histories. Thanks again for watching. See you next time and stay safe.